All right, let's talk about the recipe of you. Today, we're going to break down all the fundamental ingredients that make each of us, well, us. It's a fascinating journey, so let's get right into it.
So, have you ever really thought about it? What makes you, you? It sounds like such a simple question, right? But the answer is so incredibly complex. It's this journey that starts the moment we're born, and honestly, it never really stops. We're constantly being shaped by all these powerful forces, and today, we're going to unpack that whole journey together.
Okay, so where do we even start? Well, the first major ingredient we've got to look at is our environment. The best way to think about it is like an architect's blueprint. The blueprint itself doesn't build the house, but it lays out the entire design, the whole structure for the person we're going to become. In this blueprint, it's not just one single page. Oh no, it's more like a whole collection of plans, of different contexts, and they all play a super critical role. It starts really small, with our most immediate world, our family. Then it expands outward to school, and then, the even bigger social and cultural world that we're all a part of. Every single one of those layers adds more detail and more complexity.
So let's break that down a little. How do these contexts actually work? Well, our family, that's like our first social universe. It's where those really secure relationships help us build confidence and, find our emotional footing. But then school comes along and introduces this whole new dynamic, right? It's where we learn how to cooperate with other kids and start developing our own sense of independence.
And this brings us to a really crucial point. In psychology, we talk about nature versus nurture, right? The big takeaway is that we aren't just a product of our genes, and we aren't just shaped by our environment. Human development is actually this constant, dynamic dance between our biology, our nature, and our experiences, our nurture. They're always interacting, always influencing one another.
Okay, so we've got the blueprint, which is our environment, but what about the actual materials? What are we built from? Well, let's get into the 4 essential building blocks, or what we call domains of our development.
First up, and probably the most obvious one, is the physical domain. This is exactly what it sounds like, the growth of our bodies and our brains. We're talking about everything from literally getting taller to developing motor skills and the whole maturation of our nervous system. And the perfect example of this in action? A baby learning to walk. I mean, think about it. It's this huge milestone, and it can only happen when their muscles are strong enough and their nervous system is developed enough to pull off all those complex movements. It's pure biology in motion. All right, next on the list is the cognitive domain. If the physical domain is the body, this is the architecture of our minds. It's all about the development of our mental processes, how we learn to think, to remember things, to use language, and to figure out problems. I mean, just think about the incredible feat of a child learning to speak. They go from just babbling to forming these really complex sentences. That, plus learning how to reason and think critically, that is the cognitive domain firing on all cylinders. Building block number 3 takes us to our inner world, the emotional domain. This is all about learning to recognize our own feelings, figure out how to express them in a healthy way, and, this is the really tricky part, how to manage them. And of course, this is all deeply tied to our self-esteem. Come on, we've all seen it, right? A toddler having a full-blown tantrum. That is just raw emotion on display. But learning how to handle that frustration, to actually be able to identify, okay, I am feeling angry or I am feeling sad, that is a huge step forward in their emotional development. And that brings us to our final building block, the social domain. This is all about how we connect with the world outside of ourselves. It's where we learn the ropes of interacting with other people, understanding all those unwritten social rules, and ultimately figuring out who we are in relation to everybody else. And what's the most classic example here? Learning to share. It seems so simple, but that one act is this incredibly complex social lesson. It teaches cooperation, empathy, and the big one, understanding that other people have feelings and needs too. It's really the foundation for pretty much every relationship we'll ever have. Now, here's where it gets really cool. These 4 domains, physical, cognitive, emotional, social, they aren't just separate pillars standing on their own. No way. They're completely, totally interconnected. Think about it. A child learns to walk, right? That's a physical skill. But now, because they can walk, they can explore their world more, which boosts their cognitive and social development. See? They're constantly influencing and building on top of each other. Okay, this brings us to the final piece of our puzzle. It's kind of like the glue that holds everything we've talked about together. And that's the power of our social connections. This is how the blueprint and all those building blocks actually come together and work in the real world.
But we have to make a really important distinction here. On one hand, you have social interactions. These are the momentary things, a quick chat with a barista, saying hi to a neighbor. Then you have social relations. These are the deep, stable, long-lasting bonds, like our friendships and family ties. And they're built from tons and tons of those smaller interactions over a long period of time.
And here's the thing, they both serve a totally different but vital purpose. Those quick interactions, that's where we get instant feedback. It's how we learn the basics, like language and social rules. But it's our long-term relations. Those are the ones that deeply, profoundly shape our emotional health. They build our self-esteem and give us that feeling of belonging that we all need. So when you pull all of this together, it becomes really, really clear. Human development isn't a project that has an end date. It doesn't just happen when we're kids and then stop. It's a continuous, lifelong process of building and rebuilding.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that each of us is this complex and honestly beautiful result of these three major things working together. You've got the blueprint of our environment, the four core building blocks of who we are, and it's all held together by the powerful mortar of our connections with others.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Since we're all a part of each other's environment, right? We're all constantly contributing to each other's development through every little interaction. So the question is, knowing all this, what's one small block you can help someone else build today? Whether it's a child, a friend, or even a coworker, what can you do?